Hello, this is Sean from Atlanta Braves Chop Live. We have a special guest with us, Landon Harper, pitcher from the Columbus Cleanstones. Say hello to everybody, Landon.
Hey, how are y'all?
It's a pleasure to have you with us, and I get to see Landon in Columbus and pitch there. And I remember there's a very special moment that we saw there where they had special needs kids that were there, right? Do you remember that time?
I do remember that.
They did some bells. I actually know one of the moms of the her two boys were part of that group. And so that boy that gave you that hug, his name was
Yep.
Luke, from my understanding. And so that was a special moment we see. So we'll come back to that, but that's kind of like a little bit of a teaser about that special moment what do you have with
Mhm.
that boy that came up and gave you that big hug there. But
Yeah.
so Landon, let's go from the beginning. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in where are you from?
I'm from Meridian, Mississippi, and that is where I grew up my whole life. I went to a small school called Northeast Lauderdale, which is probably about 2 miles from my house, where I went to high school and played three sports. So that was that's kind of my little short background of where I went to high school and what I did in high school. I played a little bit of football, soccer, and baseball. Um, Hurt my arm in high school, so I stopped playing football because I wanted to play baseball. I knew I wanted to play baseball more, and ended up getting an offer to JUCO, and that's where I went JUCO at Pearl River Community College. And COVID was my first year, so I didn't really get to have a year. I was a dual guy. I really went as a position player, and but I knew I might pitch a little bit every now and then if I got better with my arm or whatever. And but COVID happened, and one day 2021, we were taking in and out in the fall. We played games in the fall, um, and I was playing third a little bit, and we were taking in and out where you take ground balls before the game and stuff, and threw a ball across the infield, and White Sox scout went up to my coach and he was like, "That dude's got a pretty good arm. Can he hit?" And my head coach, Michael Avalon, he was like, "No, he can't hit, but he has a really good arm." So, and he was like, "Well, you ought to try him on the mound or whatever." So he sat down with me, man to man conversation like he would always do. He was a very good coach to me, and he was like, I think you should try the mound. I'm not saying you should quit taking ground balls and stuff, but I think you should start focusing on the mound a little bit more too. And I did, and I ended up being our closer that year, and threw pretty hard, did really good. Southern Miss came to offer me. I had multiple small D1s offer me, and I have talked to a lot of SEC schools, just never got an offer. And Southern Miss ended up being the best option for me. With knowing what Coach Oz was like, was the pitching coach at the time, who's the head coach now, and Coach Barry, who was the head coach. I knew what I was going. They used to be JUCO coaches as well, and I knew that, and I wanted to go there. I knew Coach Oz was a really good pitching guy, and went there. Didn't really get to pitch in the fall because my arm didn't feel great. I had some stuff looked at. Had a PRP shot. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but they it's like a shot that basically helps you recover. And they gave it to me in my elbow, and ended up being our closer there in the spring, doing really good in our spring games scrimmages, and ended up being the closer there. And that's the season in 2022 that we went to a super regional against Ole Miss. Unfortunately, they beat us, but they went on to win the national championship. But and that's where I got drafted. The year I got drafted by the Braves, and on from there, that's where I am now. So
So what year was that you got drafted?
2022.
2022. So let's go
Hmm.
back to your childhood. So you grew up only 2 miles away from your high school. So tell us
Yep.
how you got involved in baseball. Like, was it like t-ball or?
Yeah, T-ball. I mean, pretty much as soon as I came out of the womb, I had a baseball in my hand and a glove. I knew. that's what I wanted to do from a very young age. And my dad also, I had an older brother as well, which had probably a lot to do with it. But my dad, he would get us out there and to the he lived really close to a different school, Southeast Lauderdale, which is not far from Northeast Lauderdale. And he would get us out on the practice football field, and we would go out there and we would long toss, and he would help us, basically have a foundation of what it takes and what you need to do if you want to be good. Not He didn't really force us to do it. He just said if you want to do it, this is what you got to do. And that's where it kind of all started with me and my brother. Luckily, I did have an older brother to do that with. And that's kind of where it all started. My dad, we long tossed and threw as far as we could, and that's how it kind of started with us. So
Yeah, you know what? I played baseball like growing up too,
yeah.
but I never heard nothing about lawn tossing at all. I didn't- And that's something
Mhm.
that's so good because like for any position because I was like a catcher growing up from the age of 12. When I was 11, became a catcher. But
Mhm.
just for fun, our baseball team when I was like 16 through 18, they had a
Mhm.
Kansas City Royals tryout at the same exact location the Columbus Cleanstones play. So the Kansas City Royals had a tryout. I mean, we knew we weren't going to make it. It was just something we did for fun, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh.
I was 16. I weighed about 135 pounds, and I saw about eight catchers. A lot of them were college guys and had forearms like Popeye. Weighed probably almost 100 pounds more than I did. And so I threw the ball down to second and asked some of my teammates, "Does that look pretty good?" They said, "Yeah, but not like the other big guys." Ball. But yeah, but long tossing, that's something you really don't hear a lot of people teaching like at a young age. That's something
Mhm.
that seems like is very effective. You see a lot of pitchers that do that as well. So tell us how going through T-ball and tell us about your little league and senior league, just like your little league baseball experience as a kid growing
Yeah.
up through high school.
Well, at a young age, when I was about 5 years old, I had a pretty traumatic injury with my finger, and I was driving a four wheeler, a small four wheeler at my grandparents' house. And long story short, there was this swing set that accidentally got caught on the four wheeler. I was trying to get it out, and it ended up ripping my thumb off all the
Oh
way
wow.
to my knuckle, the first knuckle down closer to my palm of my hand, and which I can show you a little example. But before I do, they so I was in the hospital for 9 weeks dealing with that because
Wow.
um I ended up losing a lot of blood in the hospital, not at the time during the thing. I just in the hospital they didn't really know I was bleeding under my cast, and they the next morning, which just so happened to be my birthday, they had to rush me to a blood infusion because I had lost so much blood that night. And anyway, they put it back on, the whole thing back on, and they did a thing called leech therapy on my finger, and it would trying to bring blood back to my finger that came off, and ended up the about the fingernail and up went kind of disintegrated. It died. It didn't get any blood into it. So I'm also right-handed, but at a young age, um, knowing baseball was something I really wanted to do, and obviously a dream for me. The doctor was like, I don't, he's probably not going to be able to play sports again. And that's something that kind of hit me hard, even at a young age, not knowing, just having that doubt already in my head that I wasn't gonna be able to do anything. But luckily, I had a very good family, very good support group that, always supported me to do whatever I wanted to do, and ended up being able to play sports and grinding through it, and not not letting that stay in the back of my head, and I kind of just and I ended up playing sports. And this is I can actually show you a little visual if you can see that
Oh
right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, is my that's what happened, which it took off all the way to about this knuckle,
Hmm.
the whole thing, and they ended up putting it back on. But I
Wow.
am right-handed. um and that's kind of what started that. and I've always had a little motivation from that in the back of my head, that who doesn't want to prove somebody wrong, and that's kind of what my goal has been, and not just prove somebody wrong, is just do it. I have other reasons, I want to do it. I want to spread the word of God to
Mhm.
as many people as I can in baseball, and that's what I feel like my purpose is in this sport mainly, and that's what I want to try to do on the major league level if I can get that way. Um, but from there on, I had a couple other injuries, but I never let it stop me, and I kept going. Um, I got up to high school, or little league, I always had my brother. I would always play up with my brother. So I always had that competitive, I got to play better than, what I'm doing because everybody else has always been better than me because I'm playing up 2 years older than me.
Well,
So I
tell me
think,
about that. Tell me about the first time you got back into baseball after that injury. So that happened at 5, right?
yes,
And so you
I
had played at T.
practiced in the hospital.
So you played T-ball right before that, I guess, or after?
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be T-ball right around there, right around that
Mhm.
age.
So at what point after that were you able to get back, and how old do you think if you remember?
So I mean, 9 weeks is how long I was in the hospital, but when I got out, I still had like a huge cast. I'm not sure really on the time frame of the cast coming off, and it's kind of a blur to me that long ago, and such something that happened like that. I just don't remember everything, but I mean, I was back playing at least by 7 years old.
Okay.
It wasn't like a 2 year thing that I couldn't play. I mean, I think I'm not positive on that, but I know I was, back into it quick enough. My parents did a good job of like not letting, that stay in my head, and they just kept like pushing me to go play and do something, and it ended up working out. And it was I played. I mean, I started playing. I played kid pitch. I remember a little bit of kid pitch, and obviously a little bit of coach pitch. I think I played a good bit of coach pitch. So it didn't really affect me as much as I think that the doctor was going to. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. And so it sounded like you played a lot of other positions before you got to pitching, right? So what was you said was it did you ever pitch in the little league at all or was it
Yeah, I did. So, in Little League, pretty much every player pretty much pitches. If you pretty much everybody in our Little League team pitched. I don't know if that's normal. I thought it was just because that's what we always done. But we had a good team, all my friends, we were all good at baseball, at that age, and yeah, so of course, yeah, I pitched. It was 45, I think it was 40, yeah, 45 feet, and it was mainly my dad always just said, throw strikes. Throw strikes. How hard you throw, just throw strikes. And that's
yeah,
what I always did when I got on the mound. But did I like pitching more than I like playing a position? I don't think so at that age. I don't think, I always wanted to play a position, and I was always our shortstop, and that's just the position I played, and then throughout high school and everything. So.
yeah, like Spencer Schwarzenbach, he was played different positions and got into pitching late in his career,
Yeah.
before he was able to get on the before he got on the mound permanently. So you got up to, and then tell me about your high school experience then.
Mhm. So I was a pitcher in high school my freshman year, and I played shortstop. I didn't pitch a lot because we just had a lot of older guys that were already pitching, and we didn't really need me to pitch. Um my freshman year, I did play shortstop though, and my sophomore year, I was our number one pitcher for that whole year and played shortstop as well. And we went the first round of playoffs, and I broke my elbow in like the first inning.
Oh
And
wow. Was that like
yeah,
how did that happen?
I hyperextended it,
Oh wow.
and ended up not really getting anything done, looked at or anything done to it. I don't know why, but I continued to play shortstop throughout the playoffs all the way up to South State. Probably wasn't smart either. I mean, I barely could make the ball over there to first base, but we really needed it, and I was like, you know what, I'll just take some ibuprofen and I'll go out there and do my best. And that's what I did, and I ended up not pitching really anymore at all in high school, maybe a little bit in my senior year. But as a sophomore, I was just very skinny to throw pretty hard as a sophomore. I mean, I was 88 to 90, and that's the doctor. He was like, you were just probably a little, you just didn't have any meat on your bones, and it's kind of what led to, mechanics. Didn't use my legs any. Didn't really know how to pitch. We didn't have any, like, we didn't have a pitching coach in high school, that really helped. We just played positions, and if you could pitch, if you could throw up there and throw strikes, you went up there and threw strikes, and that's kind of what I did. I just so happened to throw a little harder than everybody else, and I think that was from long tossing with my dad and my brother at a younger age, and I did that and didn't really pitch at all my junior year. My senior year, I threw a couple times, but not a lot, just because of we didn't want to risk anything. And I'd already committed my senior year to Pearl River Community College, and where my brother had originally went the 2 years before me, both years before me,
Did he
that I
play
went there.
baseball or there?
He did. He was a catcher. He
Oh,
was
cool.
his senior year, my sophomore year, the year that I broke my arm. He was my catcher.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so he would catch every game, and then he would come out and pitch. He was our number two pitcher.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, yeah. So we would just kind of go back and forth. And
What they call you, the Harper boys? We got the Harper boys, one
yeah,
catching, one
that's exactly
pitching.
what they would call us, the Harper Boys. Yep. Um, and it was really nice to have him as a catcher too, so I could throw to him anytime I wanted to, whatever, and he was not scared of anything. So, um, he really made me tougher as growing up, and really helped me a lot with like putting in hard work. Watching him mess up, I knew not to do what he did. And it just went a long way to have a brother, and yeah. So my senior year, I mean, committed to Pearl River. Um, Went there. It was JUCO, unfortunately, COVID didn't really get to have a season. I was, playing short and third base. Um, Played a couple fall games at short and third, and then I think I might have like thrown in the fall game, thrown like pitched an inning in a fall game or something. Just obviously he wanted to see what I had, if my arm was okay. I didn't really use my leg, so he kind of helped me with that. From the standpoint of just anything, working out and stuff. We never really worked out in high school, so when I got to JUCO and we were big on working out and stuff, that really helped a lot. And COVID happened though, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
Spencer Swellenbach, he had something similar, or he had a fracture in his arm pitching as well.
Yeah.
Does it kind of sound like something you had, or something a little
That
bit
is
different?
exactly what I had, except his might have been a little worse because I think he tore his UCL too, and during that, but I don't mine wasn't torn. I think mine was just a little like sprained or whatever with the elbow being broke. So it wasn't as long as a recovery either. So yeah, and I went JUCO or whatever, and like I said, that's where my mentality really for baseball came from is Pearl River and Coach Avalon. He really, really, really helped me with the mentality of 90% mental, and that has really been my biggest attribute. I think that I've taken away from Pearl River is that I can the mentality, the mindset that I have, like it's just nothing can get to me. I feel like it's just really strong mindset that I have. So
Yeah. So, so you and your brother both played together at college then?
no, he played his freshman year. I was a junior.
Okay.
His freshman year in JUCO, I was a junior, and then my senior year, he was a sophomore.
Oh, okay. So, explain when you started seeing scouts, or did you see any scouts, or did you just get like word like, "Hey, we're going after you"?
As when I was in at Southern Miss, or when I was in JUCO.
in was it JUCO you got the call, or was it in
No, no,
Southern
no.
Miss?
I got drafted at a Southern Miss.
Did you no JUCO? Did you see any scouts around there at all?
I mean, we had scouts at our game. I don't think they were there for me though. We had a lot of good players, really good players that went, a lot of Power Fives and smaller D1s as well. Um, but I think, whenever I mean, I had like the little link that you could go on, and it would say like it would just make sure like you would put all your information on there, and it would have teams that looked at it and stuff. But I never really like had any interest in JUCO from any teams or anything.
So for those who don't know, explain what JUCO is.
It's junior college it's just a smaller college. It's like basically like I mean, it's a college. It's a 2 year
Right.
where you can get your associate's degree,
Yeah.
and it's college, but it's dormitories.
Mhm.
I think some they're starting now where you can have little apartments, but I think they're like right there beside campus or whatever. But it's kind of like freshman year of any other Power Five or anything, but just smaller, a lot smaller, and but it was the best time of my life for sure. So.
Yeah. Now, share with us how that moment that you heard about the draft. From my understanding, like I've heard that before, where you put your information in a particular location, right? I think it was Dalton McIntyre. He's with the Rome
Mhm.
outfielder, but now he's doing rehab at the Florida Complex League. You
Yeah.
mentioned about you put your information in there,
Mhm.
and that way they have that information, and you look for the draft or whatever the case is. So, explain a little bit about the draft process, how that worked with you, and getting that word that you got drafted.
Yeah, so you have that link that you put stuff in on, but it was kind of just like they just wanted to know about if you've had any injuries or blah blah blah, stuff like that. Just making sure you're healthy for the draft, like family down the line family stuff, if they've had any problems, blah blah blah. But when I got to Southern Miss, I knew I had an advisor at the time, Bus Cook Agency, and James Cook was my advisor. He found me in JUCO and talked to him. He's out of Hattiesburg. They're out of Hattiesburg, and I ended up going with him or whatever throughout college. And I was at Southern Miss, and after that season, I kind of waited. I knew that I had a chance. Maybe they had chance. I knew that wasn't off the table because I knew I had a good year, and I knew there was a chance. And really, pretty much after the 10th round, I didn't. I kind of just stopped watching. I didn't really think I was going to get drafted. The Dodgers called my agent and were like, "Will you take 125? Because that's what you get offered after the 10th round is that's the base salary or whatever, and or the base signing bonus." And I was like, I mean, I have 2 more years at Southern Miss. I could go back and potentially do better, get more. Um, and then my mom. I'm just laying in my bed. I'm tired, and my mom just kind of comes in there and she was like, "The Braves just drafted you. The Braves
Oh,
just drafted
wow.
14th round." And I was like, "What? The Braves drafted me?" I was like, "I didn't even. Nobody's called me or nothing. Like no, like nobody said anything." So my area scout, he called me right soon after that, and he was like, "Hey, Leonard, but you know how that part goes." He was just saying like, "We're excited to have you, and we want you or whatever." And I was like, and that's when the negotiating process started for me. I because I knew I had 2 years, and once that happened, I knew that that there wasn't even a set number that we had talked about or anything because nobody had drafted me or anything. So I got to negotiate a little bit, and that was my first time really into it all, and I had nothing. I didn't know what to expect. I was calling friends that I knew that were already in pro ball, getting help, and I kind of got had some leverage, so I got a little bit more than what the base salary was, and ended up going with the Braves. Because I didn't know if I didn't know if I was going to go back. Because it was a big decision for me at the time, having 2 more years of college and not finishing college and going to pro ball. But the benefits of pro ball that I came to realize were too good not to take it up. And if I would have went back to Southern Miss and got hurt, would I lose my opportunity? And I didn't want to lose my opportunity to do that because not many people get drafted.
Yeah,
And
like there's a chance you can continue on and then not get drafted. There's so many people, in there that
I've seen it
um,
firsthand for sure.
yeah, so that's pretty interesting that you had no idea that they drafted you and then boop, there it is. Right. That's pretty cool. And share about that moment your mom told you that you got drafted and you had no idea.
Well, past the 10th round, it's not really live anymore. It's really kind of on the computer. My mom had her computer up, and it was just throwing names because I knew guys that were getting drafted for sure, and that had already gotten drafted with Southern Miss and other teams, and so she was just kind of just watching it or whatever, just had it on the couch, and she was just doing her thing, and she just I guess happened to look over, and it popped up that they were drafting me in the fourth round, and I had no idea.
Oh,
And,
wow, that's cool. Because I've always heard from others that we've spoken to, like Cayman Goody. He's a pitcher. He got drafted in 2024. He's in the Florida Complex League. He
mm,
mentioned he thought he was going to go the second round and got discouraged and went out with a friend, started throwing, and a scout called him or one of the representatives called him, said, "Hey, we're going to probably get you." He said, "Today?" He's like, and then he had to rush. He went rush to his friend's house, and then he finally got drafted. I think it was the third round or whatever the case was. So it was pretty interesting that you got drafted. Even had no idea. But so who was it? So your mom saw it on TV. That's how you found out about it.
on her computer, yeah, she had her computer up, and she saw it, and she
I'm gonna
came,
turn on this. Go ahead. I'll turn this light on behind it.
um, and she came in there and told me. I was like, what? No way! Like, there's no way that nobody's called me or anything, um, and yeah, that's where I got the call from after they had already thrown my name up on the board. That's where I got the call from my area scout and had some conversations with him and ended up working out. And I went to Florida where the Brave spring training is, and that's kind of where my journey started.
So share a little bit about that. It's always interesting that the Florida Complex League because I live in the Orlando area and that's generally where I love to go. And I think I take more photos than anybody when it comes to Braves for the Florida Complex League. We actually started a Facebook page for the Florida Complex League for the players. And
Okay.
I've got to know several of the players down there, and it's neat to see them progress and what have you.
Mhm.
And I know that you have the Dominican baseball league, and those guys are generally between the age of 16 and 20. And from understanding, once they get drafted out of the Dominican League, whether it be Venezuela, whatever, they have to spend at least 1 year at that complex down there
Mhm.
before they come over. So, how was your first experience coming down, being from Mississippi, meeting players from Venezuela, catchers?
Huh?
Because at the Florida Complex League, if you look at the roster, you'll see like about 7+ catchers, on the roster.
Mhm.
And so, how is it pitching down there for the? You remember you're getting there your first game and that
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first got there, I didn't know what to expect. Nobody in my family has ever been in a professional sport, so I didn't know what to expect. I knew I wanted to play baseball, and I went down there, and I just started meeting people, and I mean, the floor and their complex is really nice. The Braves complex is super nice.
Yeah, it is.
It was hard not to like, and the first two Latin guys that I met were Carlos Lara and Didier Fuentes. Those were the first two guys that I met from overseas, and it was now look at them. I mean, that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. Also, but I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I love Florida. I love the weather. And as far as like whenever I first got down there, we didn't really um play games at first. We kind of like threw and stayed in, kind of they wanted to make sure our arms were good and ready to go. And then I eventually I also got there a little later than everybody else because of the negotiation part that I was able to do with the Braves and ended up working out, and I stayed. I threw. I think I threw one inning in the FCL, and I think I threw like four pitches, and then they ended up sending me to Augusta for 4 weeks. I think that was my first half year, which is technically a full year that they counted a full year, but and then I went to Augusta and finished there. So
I was looking at something online. It seemed like Augusta has really good attendance. Does it seem like it's
oh
pretty?
yeah.
That's what it seemed like. I'm not sure if it's true. I was looking at some numbers as far as minor league teams, and it seems
Mhm.
like Augusta had the highest attendance. I'm like, oh wow, really?
Oh yeah, Augusta, they had fans every night, every day, every night. It was awesome. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
So, share a little bit about your first game pitching in Augusta. Oh, and also that transition because in college you were kind of a little bit of a closer,
Mhm.
right? So how did it transition from you going from closer to starting?
Well, they at first they wanted me to start, and I did for those 4 weeks. I think a good bit. And it really didn't ever like it didn't really bother me as much because at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and get out one, get out two, get out three. And that's kind of always been my focus. And like I said, JUCO helped a lot with that, with not focusing on what you have, you know, in the future. Go ahead and get what you need to get right now. Get the first out, first strike. Even it even goes down to that. Like, don't worry about anything else other than that. And that's kind of what helped me a lot with the transition. And um I ended up not doing bad at all. But when I first showed up, I didn't start the first day that I got there. I went and watched the game, and it was actually a surreal moment because we had a Latin pitcher starting that night, and he gave up like 9 runs in like 2 innings, and I was like, wow, this is pro ball. And he was throwing like 97, 96, 97. I was like, wow, okay, well, this is gonna be I'm gonna have to, put some work in for sure. But and
Well, one of the things I've seen too is like sometimes I'm like surprised at those numbers
mhm,
because we have our main page is Atlanta Braves Chop Live, and we have like 258,000 on the Facebook page.
mhm,
But then we started a minor league page, Atlanta Braves Chop Live Minors. So we'll post about all the different teams, the stats and stuff, and highlights. But sometimes you're like surprised, like, wow, why did they let that guy in there so long? But in essence, I guess they're trying to, when you look at it, it's not like the Braves. It's a minor league system where they're trying to let people develop, maybe see if they can get out of it. Is
yep,
that pretty much what you see? That they're like you're
yeah.
probably the pitcher's looking at the dugout like, are you
At
going to
first,
take
I
me
didn't.
out?
At first, I didn't understand why, but obviously, pretty quickly, I understood, and obviously, with a lot of help of people that had already been there and stuff like that, understood that it was development. And people have a pitch count, and they're gonna let them throw to that pitch count. It's not like bad days are gonna happen, and I think honestly, it was better off, letting him develop out there right then instead of just pulling him when he hasn't pitched enough pitches yet, and then not letting him. Then he has to wait a whole week to do it again, and I think that part I didn't understand until a little later on. But once I did, I realized, like you're not. I mean, they're not really like at least the Braves, like we're not really competing to win. Like we want to develop each player. I think, and of course, like I have my own opinions of like I think winning helps people develop. Wanting to win helps people develop. But that's just my own little opinion. But once I realized that, I mean, it definitely opened up a lot. that it's definitely a grind, and even if on your bad days, you gotta be able to work through it. So,
Yeah. So you went to Augusta and tell me how it was getting the call to Rome and how'd you get that call?
so my next year, 2023, I spent that whole year in Augusta, and then in 2024, I started the year in Rome, and I played there for about a month, maybe a little over a month, and I did good. I went that whole year in Augusta though. Before, if I back up a little bit to 2023, I didn't start. I was out of the bullpen, kind of long relief, short relief, some stuff like that, and went to Rome the next year. And it kind of continued like that. I might have had like one start, two starts, but I didn't think the Braves. I think their goal for me was to not be a starter. Was to be a bullpen arm, a long relief guy at the time, and they ended up moving me to Mississippi, which is where our AA team was, the Mississippi Braves, last year, 2024. And spent basically the whole year there, besides the month that I spent in Rome. And I started, I think, five or six times closer to the end of the season. Did really good out of the bullpen, out of and starting, and that's kind of where my development of knowing that this is something I can do, and it's not, just because I'm a 14th rounder doesn't mean I can't do it too. And I had a good year. They ended up sending me to the fall league in Arizona,
Oh yeah,
and
that's right. That's going on right now, the
yeah, yep.
Arizona Fall League, and
Mhm.
yeah, I looked at that. I was looking at I pull up the memories from the previous year, and
Mhm.
last year we posted about the players who went to the Fall League, and I was like, oh, Landon went to the Fall League last year. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So how was it? How was it going? Oh, one thing. So of course, Mississippi, they moved to Columbus. So you're there last when they were in Mississippi. How
Mhm.
far were you away from your home in Mississippi that where the Braves are playing
I
there?
was about an hour and 25 minutes
That made it
from.
easy on the family, right?
Oh yeah, they were there all the time, and it was great. I loved every bit of it.
That had
So,
to be great. And
but
I think they have an independent league there now.
yeah, it's an independent team, and I think there's a college, Belhaven. I think they play there a little bit too.
Oh, okay. So tell me about the because we're sharing a little bit. They don't post a lot of stuff on there. I
Mhm.
think the Arizona team is called the dog. What's the name of the team that they all played on? And they're
My team that I played on was the Peoria Javelinas.
okay, so that's a different team. The team they're on now is called something
Yeah, I
else.
think they're in like Glendale, maybe,
Yeah,
or
there you go. Glendale. That's what they're called.
yeah,
Glendale something
yeah.
dog.
I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know they're in Glendale. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
it's different. It's Glendale. So tell me how was now the year that you went to Arizona,
Mhm.
where were you then?
I was
Were,
in Mississippi. That was 2024. That's basically played the whole year there.
okay, so last year you're
Mhm.
in Mississippi and then with the Braves and then they send you to the Arizona Fall League.
Mhm.
And share about that experience. Is it that like a month long or
It was I think it was from October 1st, where you kind of start with a bunch of meetings and stuff. You have like meetings to go to and stuff in Scottsdale. And then we started playing games, and I think it went on to like somewhere in November. Maybe
Mhm.
like 2 weeks into November is kind of where when we ended, or somewhere around there. And so it was about a month and a half, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I had never been to Arizona ever before, and it was definitely something new and something that looked very foreign to me. Honestly, I didn't. I was like, wow, there's no grass. It's all desert, and I was like, wow, this is so new to me. But I really enjoyed it though. So.
How was the attendance as far as the games there?
So there wasn't like nothing, it wasn't nothing crazy. It was, I mean, there was probably 100, fans or so,
Yeah.
but it wasn't nothing. I mean, there was probably a couple games where a lot more people came, probably depending on the prospects that were playing. That there was a lot of people there for cards and signing stuff, pretty much every game. Um, but I didn't really see a lot of like nothing crazy like packed stadium or anything like that. But it was more of like a good experience to be able to face like a bunch of triple prospects, a bunch of AAA guys, a couple big leaguers who've been there, and it kind of gives, I guess, your organization and other organizations to see how you would do against that, and I don't think I did terrible at all. I think I had like four something ERA or whatever, which is not great, not terrible. I threw like 20 innings, I think, or something like that. It wasn't not a big sample size, but because I went as a starter, but I didn't never start. I kind of piggybacked. If you know what that is, it's where you just
Yeah,
come in
right.
back as a starter and throw the same amount of innings, same amount of pitches as a starter. And I thought I had a good year in Mississippi and in the fall league. So I was excited about the next year and what they had in store for me. So
Yeah, it doesn't take long for ERA to go up.
mm-mm.
You just give up one run in one inning, and you get 9 ERA right
Oh
away.
yeah, that's right.
And but yeah, how was that feeling? Because no, like they only pick about 10 guys or less to go there, and those usually are some of the top prospects. They even got Nacho Alvarez. No, he's in the majors, uh,
Yeah.
playing this year, and several other players. So how did it feel to get that call? Like, hey, you're going over there. How did it feel that the
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
organization picked you to do that?
It was awesome because I knew it was a good opportunity, a great opportunity for other organizations to see me and for the Braves to see what I could continue to do, and see if I can continue to throw throughout, October, whenever the big leagues get in the playoffs, that's what, you need to be able to throw then too. And I think that had a lot to do with it too. Being able to go do that was a good opportunity for me. And yeah, so I mean, the Braves, the group I had there was awesome too. Hayden Harris, Drake Baldwin, David McCabe, Adam Meyer. We had as Gallegos. We had a good group there who were people who were been in the big leagues now and stuff and AAA. So I really enjoyed that group that we had. So
So tell me about that. How is it playing in Columbus the very first season you had? It's got to be sad for you because, like, oh, folks, we're moving from Mississippi to Columbus. That's like a long drive. But tell me that experience as far as going to a stadium to playing at a location his very first season playing there. That experience of playing in Columbus this season.
it was awesome, in Mississippi and Jackson, they had started. We didn't really get a lot of fans because it was kind of down and out at the time, and probably part of the reason why they moved. I don't know exactly why they moved, but it was probably part of the reason. And we knew that Columbus was a bigger city, and it was going to have closer to Atlanta. So we were hoping that the fans would be awesome, and they went way past the expectations for sure. I mean, to be able to hear people do the chop thing, oh, that was super cool, I mean, not hearing anything like that in any of the other the affiliates that I was in, getting to hear that and just being a part of a fan base, and having a fan base that really enjoyed everybody on the team and just really loved the Braves so much. It was awesome, and it made you want to play that much harder, and do that much better. So
Yeah, we interviewed Olivia Cruz. She's the digital
yeah.
coordinating marketer. And so we were talking to her about the different videos that she plays, and so she said that she plays the same music, so that way when the music comes on, the hype video, that way everybody knows, oh, it's time to look. And I noticed like pretty much all the players are glued to it. Then the fans start looking, what's going on? Oh, the screen's on. They start seeing these great plays and stuff like that. And so had to be exciting to see those
Yeah.
great plays that are there.
It
And
was.
so, so when you with this season over, of course, what are some of the things you do during the off season?
Well, last year I didn't really kind of after I went to the fall league and I came back and I kind of took really no time off from throwing because it was already November. and I needed to, stay in it. This year, I took about 2, 3 weeks off from everything so I could just, have a little break, and then, then I start back. So I started this week, um, working out, getting in the gym, just tossing a little bit, and kind of like just knowing what I need to get better at and what I need to do to make that next step to the big leagues is kind of um what my goal is this off season, and what I really really want to do. So,
Now, when you go home, do you ever get a chance to play catch with your brother again?
well, he is married and a firefighter in North Alabama,
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't get to see him as much anymore. But before my first year got drafted, I did get to come home and throw with him a little bit, talk smack to each other a little bit. He's saying he thinks he can hit me, I'm telling him he can't, blah blah. But yeah, that's always been fun, to have that little conversation with him all the time. So, but I didn't. He was always, he's married and off on his own, so I don't get to really do that with him anymore though. So.
So tell me about going back to where we got started from. Tell me about that experience because my friend Ray, he was doing a live video of the event where the kids were there. They did the national anthem, some bells, and they started
Yeah,
walking. And that young boy named Luke, we have him on
yeah.
video going, giving high fives. Then he comes up to you and he just stops and he
hmm
says something to you. And it's kind of hard to hear. You can see
Yeah, it was hard to hear.
he gives you a hug and then he says something again and then he gives you another hug.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the dugout, and so was I think his name was Matt. He's the cameraman for the Clean Stones. So we both got a photo of him hugging you on the inside. And
Mm.
then my partner Ray, he got the video of him actually hugging you there. And
Yeah.
so share that a little bit about that experience, what that was like.
Yeah, so I mean, he came. They started. He was giving high fives to everybody, and he got to me, and I was like giving it. I had my hand up, giving him a high five, and he kind of just he wanted a hug, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll hug or whatever, and I hugged him, and he was hugging me tight, and he was saying something. I'm not very sure exactly what, but I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a very special moment that just that he decided to hug me, and was everybody he gave everybody else a high five. I thought that was a very special moment, and I enjoyed it. I didn't know his name was Luke at the time. But I definitely wanted to reconnect with him. I didn't really get to see him again after that, but I wish I would have. I would have definitely signed some stuff or whatever, did whatever, and got to know him a little bit better. But
We'll see if we can get you connected to him.
yeah, that would be awesome.
One of the moms there as far as it or part of that group. So that was a very special moment because you see people coming to the ball game and the fans see those moments and people catching balls, foul balls in the stands, and when the name paint, a lot of people are like, "No, keep the team, the Braves." No, they're going for Mississippi Braves.
Yeah,
Some people are like die hard, like no. But when you look at minor league teams, pretty much no team that I know of keeps the
yeah,
same team as the affiliate.
yep,
And so you play against the Wahoos, and then you play
mm,
against the Trash Pandas,
yep,
and then so Clean Stones, and you're like, wow, those are so bright, those uniforms. But it's amazing because when you go to the ballpark, so many people buy that merchandise. It's
yep,
all over the ballpark.
hmm
So it's pretty cool. And we try to promote Columbus Clean Stones baseball as well on our page as well, to try to draw people there as well because we have a special connection. Growing up, like I said, my partner Ray, he actually worked there. I caught in the bullpen there, so we're very connected to Columbus. So, um, well, next time I see you, will probably be at the during
Oh
spring
yeah,
training.
hmm
I'll be at the Florida, whatever, be down there during spring training. And you'll see me going around with the camera sometime during spring training.
hmm
But Landon, I want to thank you so very much for joining with us. Before we leave, I want to ask you a couple quick questions. What's your favorite baseball movie? Yours
I
and
would have to say the Field of Dreams for sure.
well, you got to see our interview with Dyer Brown. I'll send that to you.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. For sure.
And And also share a little bit about who are some of the great influences in your life to get you to where you are.
For sure. I mean, I mentioned two of them already. My brother, of course, had a lot to do with being able to grow up and know what not to do, and that went a long way. And then, of course, my dad, starting us at a young age of like the cone. I mean, we did more than just long toss. It was we had cone drills and we did stuff like that ladder stuff. And he just wanted us to be the best we could be. And that went a long way. And I've always looked up to my dad, and my brother as well, and another one would definitely be my dad's dad, who is my grandfather. He played football at Auburn, and so I've always looked up to him, and he's big. He's a big old guy, and definitely he the wisdom he has for me and continues to give me is you can't get that back, and not many people get it. And whenever he talks, I listen, and I've always done that, and it has definitely helped me to go a long way and to get to where I am now. So
Awesome. And share, I know that one of the times, our first year we got started, and our page has grown pretty fast. We got started in 2021, and we're up to like 258,000 now. And we average about 50, 60,000 we add on a year. But our very first year, this lady reached out to us on Messenger. She said, "Who runs this page?" My husband works for the Braves. I'm like, oh no, did we get in trouble? Did we do something wrong? And I said, well, just two best friends, we just started, whatever. And she said,
mhm.
well, he's the senior vice president for premium partnerships for Atlanta Braves. He's been there 25 years. I love y'all's page and what y'all do. I said, well, would he like to do an interview? And we ended up interviewing him, Jim
That
Allen.
is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So he shared at the end of his about that they do in the Braves organization there. They have a Bible study. They get together and have Bible studies there. Hayden Harris shared about his faith, and so did Ben Ingram. He share a little bit about how your faith has helped you through injuries, and how you'd like to use that as a platform,
Yeah.
and how because there's plenty of times of discouragement. No, baseball is a sport where even the best hitters fail 70% of the time. And so share a little bit about your faith and how that's been an encouragement to you.
Yeah, it is.
There.
It's been everything for me. I say that my mentality comes from Pearl River, but not only that, it the trust I have in the Lord, and my faith is so strong that I'm not worried about what's going to happen, if I don't make it, and it's not the first thing on my list, is to make it. The first thing on my list is to glorify God and to be who He wants me to be. And if that's not in baseball, that's not a problem. I want to do what He wants to do, and that's definitely something that I've started to try to do is always be at the chapel when we have chapels on Sundays, and even further is I send me and my friends that are in the organization with the Braves, we send each other devotionals all the time, almost every day. And I think that is something very special that I've grown with in the Braves organization, is those friends that I do have, and we have that group message, and we share our faith with each other. And not we're not all just we have like some of us are Catholic, Baptist, so we get to share, we get to clash and share those our faith with each other. And I think that has helped my faith go a long way. And something I would love to start doing, it would be doing in spring training when everybody is there, being able to do a little Bible study with everybody. If but I know sometimes it gets hard with time management with some people, but hopefully, we're always there really early during spring training. So hopefully, this year I'm going to really try to, bring that out and see if I can get more people to come, and to start, sharing their faith as well. And I think that'll go a long way. And that's kind of what my goal is for sure.
That's wonderful. I saw, I guess David McCabe played third baseman, and
Hmm.
yeah, I saw him wearing a T-shirt during the workouts. Said Jesus. You probably know what it is. It's a T-shirt. Jesus won, right? I've seen a number of players wearing those jerseys. I mean, T-shirts around during workouts as well. So, well, Landon, thank you so very much. Appreciate everything you sharing your life story, and that's the type of stuff that we like to hear. Notice we
Sure.
didn't get into stats and stuff like that. We just want to hear people's life story behind baseball and their journey. So, again, from Atlanta Braves Chop Live and our fans, we sure appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate y'all for
God
sure.
bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And we look forward to seeing you. I'll be seeing you at the spring training, the guy with the camera wearing a Atlanta Braves Chop Live t-shirt.
I'll be looking for sure. I'll be looking.
All right. All right. Take care and God bless.
All
Have
right.
a good
God
evening.
bless you too.